Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week at Everything You Need to Know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock. With news, European banks can no longer find any demand for their CoCo bonds. But first, rising rents and healthcare costs lifted underlying American consumer price inflation in January by the most in nearly 5 years, and 2.2% higher than the same month a year ago. This underlies support for the view that the Federal Reserve could gradually raise interest rates this year as forecast. And across the border in Canada, CPI inflation is rising there too. Headline inflation is up to 2%, while core inflation, that's excluding food and energy, is higher by the same amount. In Europe, banks are having trouble selling CoCo bonds, those bonds that can turn ugly on investors if a bank gets into trouble. Fear of that situation has dried up any demand for the products in Europe. New Zealand banks have issued similar bonds here, but any more now seems unlikely in the near future. And there's been a dramatic firing at a senior policy level in China over the weekend. The party has ousted the boss of the China Securities and Regulatory Commission with a very public dismissal. The previous boss is being blamed for the recent market turmoil and policy missteps, but most observers actually don't see any policy changes ahead with the new appointee. In Australia, a substantial settlement has been reached in a landmark $200 million class action brought against rating agency Standard & Poor's. That's according to the law firm for the local governments, churches and charities that brought the suit. But a quarter of the settlement will go to the litigation funder. They sued because S&P gave Lehman Brothers an investment-grade rating prior to its failure in 2008. In New York, the benchmark US Treasury 10-year yield could not hold its Thursday rise and has fallen back sharply by 6 basis points to 1.74%. On Friday, local rate curves fell and flattened in a move that anticipated the Wall Street signals. The US oil price is now down sharply too to $29.50 a barrel, while Brent is just on $33 a barrel. Rig counts are now getting very low. The gold price starts marginally higher at $1,228 an ounce, and the New Zealand dollar is still trading in that narrow range, now at 66.3 US cents, 92.8 Aussie cents, and at 59.6 euro cents. The TWI will start the week at 70.8. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.